Imagine a land where death seemed to reign supreme. A vast, scorching ocean of sand stretching endlessly, where the sun burned the skin and life was a luxury. By all logical standards, civilization should never have taken root in such a brutal place. But right here, in the heart of the devastating Sahara Desert, a miracle occurred. A ribbon of vibrant green flowed through the sea of golden sand, carrying the pulse of life. That was the Nile River. This very river nurtured one of the greatest, most mysterious, and most powerful empires in human history: ancient Egypt. How did people 5,000 years ago, without machinery or modern technology, manage to transform this dead land into a fertile paradise? How did they stack millions of stone blocks, each weighing as much as a truck, to create man-made mountains that defy time? The answer lies not in distant stars or alien visitors, but right beneath the alluvium of the Mother River. Today, join me as we take to the sky, looking down upon the land of the pharaohs to decipher secrets buried beneath the sand. What you are about to see is not just stone and monuments, but a story of extraordinary human tenacity. And be careful, because our old understandings are about to be completely upended by shocking discoveries right at the foot of the Great Pyramids. But don't rush to believe what old textbooks taught you. Right beneath the shadow of the Great Pyramid, archaeologists have just found a ghost city. It is telling an entirely different story about the people who truly built this wonder. A truth that could erase centuries of mistaken prejudices. Just a few miles from the bustling heart of modern Cairo, the Giza Plateau stands formidable, a defiance hurled at eternity. The Great Pyramid of Giza. Look at its staggering scale. It is composed of over 2 million blocks of limestone and granite. Each block weighs an average of 2.5 tons, equivalent to the weight of your large SUV. Imagine stacking 2 million cars on top of each other, fitted so tightly that a hair could not pass through, and soaring nearly 150 meters into the sky. For 3,800 years, this was the tallest man-made structure on the planet. But the biggest question is not how big is it, but who built it? For centuries, the Western world viewed Egypt through a distorted, sometimes racist lens. Early historians suggested that the indigenous Egyptians lacked the intellect and organizational capability to create this wonder. They fabricated stories of tens of thousands of Jewish slaves forced to work to death under the lash, or attributed the credit to lost civilizations, or even extraterrestrials. But the ground does not lie. And American archaeologist Mark Leaner has dedicated 46 years of his life to listening to the voices from the earth of Giza, right beneath the shadow of the pyramids. Mark Leaner found something that changed everything. Not whips, not shackles, but a city, a massive metropolis forgotten beneath the desert sand. This was home to over 20,000 people. But they did not live in the miserable shacks of slaves. Mark found industrial-scale bakeries, copper-working shops, storehouses filled with grain, and tons of animal bones. Thousands of houses were systematically planned like a chessboard. This evidence paints an entirely different, highly humanized picture. The pyramid builders were free citizens, skilled craftsmen, and the healthiest farmers recruited from across the country. They were fed meat, drank beer, received medical care, and worked in shifts. They dedicated their labor not out of fear, but out of national pride and reverence for the king, the representative of the gods. But pride alone is not enough to move 5.7 million tons of stone from distant quarries. Human strength is limited. They needed a colossal power, and that power was water. Ancient engineers transformed the Nile into a massive water elevator system. They dug artificial canals, bringing the annual 7-meter floodwaters right to the foot of the construction site. A bustling harbor system once existed right in this arid desert. The river lifted the giant stones, transporting them hundreds of miles effortlessly. The Nile didn't just irrigate the fields, it was the greatest transport machine of the ancient world. However, this generous river brought more than glory to the kings. Far to the south, its waters hold the fate of small people, those who still live primitive lives like their ancestors 7,000 years ago. And their lives are under threat every hour by a modern force. Leaving the noise of the stone mega-construction in the north, we head south to Elephantine Island. Here, time seems to stand still, completely separated from the modern world. Meet Yusuf and his small son, Karim, only 6 years old. They are Nubian, direct descendants of the first inhabitants who settled beside this river. For Yusuf, the Nile is not a historical monument to be admired. It is his father, his mother, the sole source of life that has sustained his family for generations. Every sunrise, before the mist has cleared from the water, the father and son push their small wooden boat out to the river. But the river today has changed. It is no longer as gentle as in his ancestors' memory. The strong currents swirl, concealing deadly eddies, but more dangerous are the colossal iron and steel monsters, the multi-deck tourist ships that tear through the water, creating huge waves that could capsize Yusuf and his son's frail skiff at any moment. Amidst the constant danger, Yusuf is passing down a heritage more precious than gold to his son. It is the art of listening to the river. He doesn't use fish finders or electric nets. He teaches Karim how to strike the water with the paddle in a special rhythm. Boom, boom. The loud noise travels through the water, startling the fish and driving them into the net. It is an ancient hunting technique that has existed since before the pharaohs were born. Watching little Karim strain to hold the paddle steady in the strong current, we see the fragility, yet the immense resilience of humanity before nature. Kings may die, dynasties may fall, but fishermen like Yusuf and Karim remain. They are living proof that the river did not just build an empire, but also nurtured the souls of the most humble people. Yet, Egypt is not only about fertile waters. Leaving the cool riverbanks, we must face a much harsher reality. The Eastern Desert, a deadly land where life is a luxury word. There, a lone woman is fighting for survival, and she is about to show us that the desert's true treasure is not always glittering gold. Welcome to the Sinai Peninsula, a brutal land with jagged rock mountains and scorching heat. Rainfall here is less than 3 centimeters per year. By modern agricultural standards, this is dead land, impossible to cultivate. But Madame Kudra, a widowed Bedouin woman, thinks otherwise. Kudra lives in a simple tent amidst nothingness. She has no supermarket, no electricity, no running water. Her husband is gone, her children grown and moved away. She only has her flock of goats for company. Many would choose to give up, to migrate to convenient cities to enjoy their old age. But Kudra chooses to stay. She says with unwavering eyes, "If you sit still in a concrete house, your body will age and die away. The desert teaches me to move, to be strong." Kudra's eyes see things that we city dwellers do not. Amidst the dry rock crevices, she finds secret underground springs that sustain the thorny bushes for her goats. She knows which plant can be used for medicine, which can be crushed to make laundry soap. She is a master of survival, a vivid testament to humanity's extraordinary adaptability. Bedouins like Kudra seek life in the desert to survive the day. The pharaohs of old, however, came to the desert with a different purpose, seeking eternity. They realized that the colossal pyramids, though magnificent, were two clear signposts for tomb robbers. Thus, the New Kingdom kings changed tactics. They chose a secluded valley enclosed by a natural pyramid-shaped mountain to build their final resting place. That is the Valley of the Kings. For 500 years, craftsmen silently dug deep into the limestone mountain, creating 63 magnificent underground tombs. They hoped that darkness and secrecy would protect the king's slumber forever. But human greed always finds a way in. Most tombs were thoroughly plundered in antiquity, except for one, the tomb of a young king whose death came too soon and too unexpectedly. In 1922, archaeologist Howard Carter rocked the world when he shone his flickering lamp through a small hole in the rock. When asked what he saw, Carter could only utter 3 words in utter amazement: wonderful things. It was the tomb of Tutankhamun, the pharaoh who ascended the throne at age 9 and died before he turned 20. Unlike the other empty tombs, King Tut's resting place was intact as the day he was buried. Over 5,000 treasures were found: golden chariots, jewel-encrusted thrones, chests filled with clothing and weapons, and most prominently, the 11 kilos solid gold mask depicting the young king's serene, delicate face. This treasure slept in the dark for over 3,000 years. But now, as the light of the modern world shines upon it, it faces a new danger. Over 1.5 million tourists flock to this small valley every year. They bring admiration, but also breath, sweat, and dust. The humidity from the breath of millions is seeping into the limestone walls, threatening to destroy the beautiful murals that have survived millennia. Conservationists are racing against time. They install complex ventilation systems, limit the number of viewers, and even create millimeter-accurate replicas of the tomb to reduce the burden on the original. The fight to protect King Tut's sleep is not over. It has merely shifted from combating tomb robbers to fighting the invisible destruction of time and tourism. While the pharaohs lie silently deep underground, in the sky above the capital city of Cairo, another battle, far more vibrant and dramatic, takes place every day. It is not a fight for land, but a race for the title of King of the Sky. And this man is ready to do anything to defend his crown. Look up from the noisy, dusty streets of Cairo. On the flat rooftops, you will see strange wooden structures, precarious like airborne fortresses. They are not storage sheds. They are the kingdom of pigeon fanciers. Egyptians have kept pigeons for thousands of years, initially for meat, a valuable source of protein for the populace. But today, for men like Hassan, pigeons are honor, a burning passion. Hassan proudly calls himself a kashar, a combat pigeon trainer. Every afternoon, when the golden sunlight pours down on the ancient city, Hassan climbs up to his precarious wooden fortress. He opens the cages, releasing hundreds of pigeons that shoot into the sky. But this is not a peaceful pigeon release. A sharp whistle pierces the air. Flags snap strongly in the wind. The battle begins. The flock's mission is not just to fly. They must fly into the rival flock's territory, using charm and cunning to lure strange pigeons back to their own coop. If an opponent's bird is lured into Hassan's coop and caught, he wins. That bird becomes a prize, and his reputation in the neighborhood rises. It is a game of strategy, patience, and masterful control skills. Amidst a modern, crowded, and suffocating Cairo, this hobby is a rare space of freedom. When we see Hassan standing on his roof, looking up at his flock soaring, we perceive a pure joy, a connection between man and the sky that has endured for generations. But these small games are nothing compared to the ambitions of the ancient kings. To affirm absolute power, they didn't just build tombs to die in. They built great temples to live forever as gods. And in Egyptian history, there was one woman who dared to do so more grandly than any man, challenging all the prejudices of her time. To fully grasp the tremendous ego of the pharaohs, we must view them from above, from a hot air balloon gliding gently in the dawn over Luxor. As the first rays of sun illuminate the sheer limestone cliffs on the west bank of the Nile, an architectural masterpiece slowly emerges, making anyone who sees it hold their breath. That is the temple of Hatshepsut. Hatshepsut was no ordinary queen. She was one of the few and most powerful female pharaohs in history. In a society where the throne was usually reserved for men, she stepped up, wore the double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt, proclaimed herself king, and ruled the country in prosperity for 20 years. To have the world acknowledge her power, she did not build her temple on the plain. She had it carved deep into the mountainside itself. The rows of white stone columns, arranged in 3 tiers, rise majestically, blending perfectly with the towering cliff behind. This architecture seems to declare, her power is a part of nature, as firm as the mountains and eternal as the sky. She even spread the rumor that she was the biological daughter of the supreme god Amun to legitimize her throne, a master of political propaganda through architecture. But Hatshepsut was not the only one who wanted to become a god. Flying a bit further south, we encounter the Ramesseum, the temple of Ramses the Great. Ramses II, the king of kings. He didn't just want to be remembered, he wanted to be worshipped. Right here, he had a statue of himself erected, as tall as a 6-story building and weighing 1,000 tons. Try to imagine the astonishment of ancient people standing at the foot of this colossal statue. They would feel as small as ants before the pharaoh's might. However, time is the unconquerable enemy. The great statue of yesteryear is now just crumbling blocks of stone lying haphazardly in the sand. The famous poem about Ozymandias rings out as a bitter reminder of the transience of power. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Even if the temples crumble, faith always finds a way to survive. Leaving the fertile Nile Valley, we venture deep into the desolate Sinai Mountains, where red rock meets the clear blue sky. Hidden at the foot of the legendary Mount Sinai, where the Bible recounts Moses receiving the 10 Commandments from God, is St. Catherine's Monastery, looking more like a sturdy fortress than a place of worship. This monastery has stood here for 15 centuries. It is the world's oldest continually inhabited monastery. Inside those thick stone walls is a world completely isolated. A library holds thousands of precious ancient manuscripts, second only to the Vatican. A healthy thorn bush is believed to be the burning bush from the Bible. The monks here live an austere life, maintaining the flame of faith amidst a vast Islamic land. They are a testament to the sacredness and enduring vitality of this land, despite the upheavals of history. And now, we come to the final challenge, the climax of this journey. A breathtaking challenge combining glorious past and chaotic present. An ancient king needs to move house, but his route is through the most dangerous streets in the world. Just one small mistake, and history will shatter. Modern Cairo is a megacity with 20 million residents. Blaring car horns, thick dust and smoke, and horrific traffic jams are its specialties. Tens of thousands of traffic accidents occur every year. Driving in Cairo requires nerves of steel and recklessness. Yet, amidst that traffic nightmare, an impossible mission must be executed. Transporting the gigantic 3,200-year-old statue of Ramses II across the city. This statue is a national treasure. It is the soul, the symbol of Egypt's power. Just a small crack, an abrupt break, or worse, the statue falling onto the road. It would be an irreversible disaster, a national humiliation before the whole world. This immense responsibility rests upon the shoulders of Zachariah Mohammed and his specialized truck. I feel immense pressure. I am proud, but I am also trembling with fear. If anything happens to this king, I will collapse completely. Zachariah confessed while double-checking the chain securing the colossal stone block. Sweat beaded on the forehead of the seasoned driver. Night falls. Cairo's streets are blocked off. Hundreds of headlights shine as bright as day. 4 police cars, siren and escort. A special unit surrounds the truck. The atmosphere is as tense as a top-secret military operation. The convoy begins to roll. Zachariah must maintain an absolute, precisely slow speed. Exactly 12 miles per hour, about 20 km/h. No faster, as the inertia of the 1,000-ton block could make the statue lean and topple. No slower, as the heavy-duty truck engine could overheat. And absolutely no sudden braking. Imagine driving a truck carrying a historical building on its back, navigating potholes, narrow curves, with thousands of eyes watching every movement. Every slight bump makes his heart jump. The whole city seems to hold its breath. The 60-minute journey felt like a century. The statue of Ramses II, with its enigmatic smile, slowly glided past modern apartment buildings, flickering LED billboards. Past and present collide in a surreal frame. The ancient king is taking one last parade through the streets of his kingdom. Finally, the lights of the new home appear. The Grand Egyptian Museum, the world's largest archaeological museum, soon to be inaugurated near the Giza pyramids. The truck turns into the gate. Ramses II still stands proud, intact, and majestic. The release of the air brakes hissed sigh, like a collective sigh of relief from the entire nation. Zachariah steps down from the truck, his legs trembling but his face radiant with a victorious smile. We did it. The king is home safe. I hope that what we did today will be remembered by future generations, he said, his voice filled with emotion. The great king of the past will now stand tall in the grand hall of the new museum, welcoming millions of visitors from around the world, continuing his mission to tell the story of his greatness for ages to come. From above, the entirety of Egypt laid out below is not just a geographical map. It is a magnificent, gigantic oil painting filled with paradoxes. Look at the contrasts. They are everywhere. On one side is the vast, scorching Sahara Desert, the land of death, where eternal silence reigns. On the other is the Nile River, the blue lifeline, flowing, carrying alluvium, fresh water, and the pulse of life. This opposition also weaves into the flow of time. Lying quietly in the desert are ancient tombs, where kings sleep in darkness for 1,000 years. But surrounding them, just a few steps away, are noisy modern cities, where the sound of car horns, music, and the chatter of millions blend together. Past and present are not separate. They live under the same roof. And deeper still is the contrast in the human condition itself. We were awestruck by the deification ambition of great pharaohs like Ramses or Hatshepsut, those who wanted their names carved deep into the rock. But beside the colossal shadow of history, we find the silent heroes, the people of flesh and blood. They are Yusuf and his son, with calloused hands, rowing their small boat daily against the strong current. They are Madame Kudra, with her resolute eyes, seeking life from the dry rock crevices of the desert. They are the driver Zachariah, the small man who dared to shoulder the millennia-old history of his nation. It is they, not the inanimate statues, who are the true soul of this land. The Nile River is still there. It is taciturn, patient, and embracing. It flowed before the first stone of the pyramid was laid. And it will continue to flow even after those temples turn to dust. That river teaches us a profound life lesson. Empires may rise gloriously and fall into ashes. Monuments of 1,000 tons of stone may be eroded by time. But one thing is more eternal than all: the fierce vitality of humanity. That is the ability to adapt, the will to rise amidst the most brutal adversity. That is the greatest legacy the Nile River has built. Not just a civilization of stone and gold, but a civilization of resilience and hope. Our aerial journey over Egypt must pause here today. I am truly grateful that you spent your valuable time joining me in tracing back history, listening to these untold stories. If the images of the majestic Nile River and the resilience of the people here have touched a corner of your heart, please give this video a like. It is the greatest encouragement for me to continue making more elaborate films. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because soon I will take you to other mysterious lands where historical stories await to be awakened. And before you go, I would love to hear your own thoughts. Close your eyes and imagine, if you could choose just one moment to experience in Egypt, what would you choose? Would you choose the feeling of peace, floating on the small wooden boat with Yusuf and his son to greet the sunrise? Or would you want to stand silently, small and overwhelmed before the majestic beauty of Queen Hatshepsut's temple? Please leave your answer in the comment section below. I will read and respond to each of your shares. Goodbye, and see you in the next wonderful adventures.